Don't forget to tuck in your daughter. Let's get in and let's check it out. Let's go look at Faye. Let's go look at her partner and let's see if we can't bring him home. All right, let's take a little bit more of a deep dive on Faye and Ruixiang. How do I pronounce this? It's Ruixiang. 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 I am very inefficient in speaking in Chinese, so trust me when I say that I will murder her name all the time. What's up, YouTube? We're going to talk about Faye and Ruixiang in the new patch and update for the preseason for Chaos Zero Nightmare. So let me touch base really quick on just her setup first, her cards. We'll kind of go from there. Faye is set up with 2 basics for attack, 1 basic for shield, and then she's got her Epiphany cards, Soliloquy, Night Rain, Soulfire Dance, and Blazing War Dance. All of these cards have the ability to pretty much play back and forth with her toolkit, which is very much focused around activation of Exorcist's Formation. Now, Exorcist Formation is a card that you will almost always want to make sure that you have as soon as possible. Since it is an initiation card, you're going to want to use it right away. This gives us access to a card called Infernal Rhapsody, as well as giving us a stack of Descent. We'll get into that later. Baseline is with the 4 main cards that she's playing around with in her typical builds is going to be very much focused around either card draw or flame arts stacking to allow for additional copies of Infernal Rhapsody to be played over and over and over again. A lot of this reminds me a lot of how you play Sereniel. This gives you the ability to kind of look at what she can do here, and then Faze is very much the post/preseason character that's going to give you a lot of the same toolkit that you got when you got Sereniel as a limited for our first limited character. Now, to kind of go over the other cards, obviously there's some epiphanies that are generally better than others when it comes to how you want to build your actual deck for Faye. Starting with Soliloquy, the current best one that I've seen through testing and through everyone else is the 1 cost Epiphany, activate 3 Infernal Rhapsody in the draw pile on the target, and gain 2 stacks of Descent for each activated card. This typically means you're going to get anywhere between 4 to 6 stacks of Descent, which is going to be very quickly giving you your Heaven's Fall card, which gives you the ability to simply just play a free damage card that does 120% times 3. If you have her Epiphany, or excuse me, her Ego manifested high enough, you're going to get multiple hits on that as well. So definitely worth looking at getting. Her next pickup for Epiphanies on just general use is going to be her 1 cost Night Rain. That allows you to gain 1 stack of Flame Arts for each Infernal Rhapsody in the graveyard. By having multiple copies in the graveyard, you're going to get multiple stacks. Yes, it can trigger multiple times. The third card we're looking at is the Soulfire Dance card. This one is definitely going to end up being the X version with the unique keyword that gives you 102% damage times X plus 1, and then activate Infernal Rhapsody in the graveyard for each hit. This basically is a good way of being able to burst out a big amount of Soulfire Dance damage. And remember that you're activating these cards, which means you're getting additional Flame Art stacks, which also leads to more extra damage. So it's great. It's great to just kind of do big burst damage, multiple copies of Infernal Rhapsody, and then you just kind of go off from there. Now, so the thing about Infernal Rhapsody is that there are multiple different ways that this card can kind of go crazy, I guess you could say. All versions of the Epiphany on this are going to have some form of decent play, but you're going to want to try to find the one that really fits well for what you're actually targeting Fae to do content-wise. If you're looking to do bigger, harder boss fights, then you're probably going to want to focus on maintaining a lot of damage through having multiple Infernal Rhapsodies. And the best option for that is the 1 cost, on draw, 1 descent, 7 Inferno, but when Flame Arts is activated, you also do 100% extra attack on the target. This is going to give you more stacks, more activations, more damage. And that's every time you play this card. So every time you activate Flame Arts for the rest of that fight, extra damage. It's pretty good. At least so far as I can tell. Now, there are a couple of other options, such as getting the Infernal Rhapsody Heaven, which is, like, I think if you're going to build all the way to E6, then this is probably a better card, just because the version of Infernal Rhapsody Heaven, it does more base damage, and it activates more stacks of Descent. So it gives you the ability to do additional extra damage, plus multiple hits when you do Heaven's Fall. But again, this is a version that you're probably only going to be looking at if you're at E6. For free to play, stay away from that one. It's a trap. You're almost always going to be looking at the 7 create, and when Flame Arts is activated, 100% extra attack on the target, because that's 100% every time Flame Arts is activated. As far as her memory fragments go, going 2/4 is probably the best option for her. You could argue to go 2/2/2, but I'm probably going to say that the best option here is going to be the 4/2 build, which uses 4-piece Prelude, 2-piece Executioner's Tool. She's kind of a crit monster because she really wants a high attack value. So by gaining access to pieces, as well as additional critical chance and critical damage through Prelude and Executioner's Tool, that's where you're really going to find that, once again, as a ranger, she shines. Last but not least, let's talk about Ruixiang. Ruixiang is her partner. She is a adorable little android girl who is dedicated to helping Faye as her quote-unquote savior. What's interesting is how she's actually set up for her kit by increasing her base combat damage. She also gives a chance to make it so that every time Faye creates a void attribute attack card, of which she does at the very beginning of the turn, she gains 1 stack of Gentle Aroma. And Gentle Aroma is a 5% damage amount increase to Faye, up to a maximum of 5 stacks. And every time Gentle Aroma reaches 5 stacks, Faye gains 20% critical damage for the rest of the combat. Well suited for the kit, well suited for the playstyle, and she's going to just keep doing tons and tons of damage. Now, if you don't actually have access to, or didn't get Rui, picking up the 4-star that allows her to do extra damage, boost, and card draw is going to be your sort of second pick. You could make a argument for the battle pass as well, going for the partner from the battle pass if you have spent money on the battle pass. Otherwise, strictly speaking, free to play, you're going to end up with a 4-star, big business all the way. One of the other things I did happen to notice is through playing her trial and running a couple of sorties with her is that she's going to play a very similar to Sereniel. I mentioned it earlier, but I stand by that. I believe that if you don't have Sereniel or you miss Sereniel during her limited time run, picking up Faye is going to be an absolute joy for you to actually get in and play that kind of rapid fire playstyle that you don't normally get with other rangers. A lot of times you're very focused on what ends up happening with how extra damage functions, where other rangers want extra damage to occur via your primary attacker's attack cards. Faye is able to kind of be very self-enclosed. She does a lot of that damage by herself. She doesn't need anyone else to activate her actual extra damage because she's the one activating it for you. So you actually have a very nice balance when it comes to sort of your give and take that, like I said, normally you wouldn't have to be able to do with a ranger because you have to rely on your primary attacker, be it a striker or a psychic or even a hunter, to get that extra damage every time someone else attacks. Faye gives you the ability to do it all on her own. And that makes her very much, like I said, like Sereniel. So if you missed out on Sereniel, or you just started playing recently and you don't know about Sereniel, Faye is definitely a pickup. She's a solid ranger unit. Being that she's in the void damage type gives her a lot more flexibility in what she actually wants to build in her save data. And it gives you the ability to really enjoy having a very self-contained damage unit without having to have a ton of extra boosts in terms of the actual attacks across the entire party. So it gives you a lot more flexibility in your actual team builds as well. Obviously, having a character that can cycle the cards for her 4-piece memory fragments is important. So grabbing either Nia or Cassius as one of your 2 subs is going to work wonders. Her boosting damage boosting anyway, will generally come from a couple of different places. You could use Orlea, personal favorite. You can still use Ray, especially considering the fact that Ray has a really good epiphany that boosts all void type damage. And you could also make an argument for just going huge tank and playing with around just to see what you could do with Adelheid as well, since she's still relatively new. There's still a lot of stuff that we don't know about what Adelheid's kit can do for Faye, but it's entirely possible that she is also going to be a very solid defender. And that way you can kind of spread your damage mitigation and your heals if you're going with Nia over Cassius. And that's more of an aesthetic choice, honestly. But either one does give you solid options in terms of team comp and team building without having to focus on having a sub DPS every single time. Anyway, that is my Faye review. Let me know what you guys think about her, what your build ideas are, what your plans are with her. Leave some information that you want to do with her down in the comments below. Also, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. We are 6 away from hitting the big 100, so I would love to be able to hit that before the end of the year. So hopefully you find this interesting enough to like it, and I'll see you guys again next time. Bye-bye.